predictions for UFC Fight Night Cejudo versus Yadong. First up, I gotta say, this I would be pissed if I lived in Seattle and I got a ticket for this fucking fight night, cause goddamn, this shit got wrecked. Like, the cancellations are worse than I've seen in a fucking while. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So majority of the card, 7 fights canceled. I remember when this card got announced, I was like, holy fuck, like, this shit is insanely stacked for a fight night. This is crazy. We got Blades, Font, Cruz, Yadong, Cejudo, Gene Silva, like, such a good card. Edson Barboza and Garcia. That was a great fight. I was so excited for that one. And yeah, this shit got wrecked. Like, holy fuck, bro. There's so many, like, I think, like, half the card only had, like, 2 weeks notice or something similar. They really, like, the UFC team had to fucking scramble for this one and just throw fucking fights together because the majority of the card, 7 goddamn fights, got canceled. So yeah, thank God I don't live in Seattle, because I would be fucking pissed off, bro, if I paid for that amazing card and then the product was this. Bro, I would be fucking heated. But either way, it's still a good card. It's a little short, I think 11 or 12 fights. But still a lot of fun ones. A lot of fights I'm looking forward to. I still think it'll be a very fun card. I think the fights are gonna deliver for sure. But yeah, just not nearly as stacked as it once was. Alright, enough yapping. Starting off with the first fight of the night. Mateusz Bukauskas versus Rafael Cerqueira. Cerqueira only had one fight in the UFC. He got smoked in like 30 seconds by Ibo Aslan, who's also fighting this card. So I don't really know too much about him, to keep it a bug. Bukauskas, one of those kind of hit or miss guys. Like, sometimes he looks pretty good, and then other times he just gets fucking demolished. I'd say the chin is his biggest weakness, but he's a pretty technical light heavyweight. So yeah, I'm going Bukauskas by decision. I think he's fought the way better competition, and he's been looking good as of late. I thought he looked pretty decent against Bragnio. Next up, I forgot this fight was on here. Nursultan Ruzaboyev versus Eric Mekonico. Mekonico coming in on short notice, I believe. They both are, I guess, but I think this is his first fight in the UFC. I heard that he beat Maki Pitolo, who I actually like, bro. He's one of my favorite Apex era fighters. But he's been on a bit of a skid, so I don't rate that win. And Ruzaboyev's good. He's not crazy good, but he does a couple things, and he does them well. He's got a crazy build for the division, even though he made welterweight, which is crazy. Yeah, I'm going to Ruzaboyev. Fucking first round Gamora, because I know he has like 1 million of those on his record. Next up, Austin Vanderford versus Nico Day. What the fuck? Veretinnikov. I'm going Austin Vanderford. I watched his highlights. He has some decent competition that he faced in Bellator. He's also Paige Van Zandt's husband, if you did not know. So he's probably loaded from their OnlyFans content. For Kretinov, off. I think he's only had one fight in the UFC against Danny Barlow, which I watched. Nothing crazy. He looked okay. Strong guy, not terrible, but didn't really do anything that stood out to me. Yeah, kind of just like an average overall kind of fighter. Vandervoort, from what I saw, seemed very aggressive. He's got a fucking, forward pressure, I'ma fuck you up. I'ma shoot this overhand and double leg you and fucking elbow you and try to smash you kind of style. I feel like he is kind of exposed on the feet, his chin is kind of out there to be it, but he has a lot of aggression. And for Kratimov, didn't seem like a kind of fighter that could really handle that type of aggression, so I'll go Vandervoort. Third round, TKO to ground and pound, but yeah, not super confident in that pick. I think it could be close, but I really haven't seen much out of vertical. So I'm going Vandervoort. Next up, Ricky Simone versus Javid Basharat. This is an interesting one. I believe short notice for both these guys. I don't remember this being on the original card. Might have been. But yeah, Javid, great at winning a decision, knows how to grapple effectively and do enough on the feet to not get it and kind of outpoint his opponents. Ricky Simone is a bantamweight fighter I always liked. I always thought he looked stronger than everyone else, just like a little fucking ball of muscle. Good grappling, offensively, good overhand right, and he had a little streak going at one point, but now he's on a 3-fight skid, all against good competition, to be fair, but he's still young. I think he's still improving as a fighter. I think the biggest aspect in this fight is going to be cardio. I think if it goes to the third round, Simone might be in trouble. But also if it stays on the feet, Ricky could always catch him with the overhand right, but Basharat's very safe, good jab, good straight punches. Ricky kind of relies on that right hand. So I don't really see him being crafty enough to set up traps and catch Basharat on the feet, unless he just kind of gets lucky and catches him lacking. But I could see him having some grappling success early on. Although if it gets to the third, I think my boy is in trouble, to keep it a bug. But yeah, Simon I think is a big underdog. I think this should be I think Basharat should be minus 175. So I'm gonna go Ricky, just because he's an underdog and I like him. And I do think this is a very close fight. Eamon Zahabi kind of project Basharat a little bit. And I think Ricky has still got some juice left. He's only 30. So I'll go Ricky Simone by I don't know, split decision. Next up, Mansur Abdul Malik versus Nick Line. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do much research into this one. I kind of remember Mansur from the Contender Series, I think. Oh yeah, he knocked out Dusko Dvorak. Yeah, he's pretty nasty. Good prospect. And the other guy, I think they just found him on the side of the street. So I'm gonna go Mansur, first round, ground and pound, TKO. Next up, Andre Fili versus Melquizael. What the fuck? Costa. I like Costa. I think he's got a cool build. I don't know why. his look. The pigment and like his wild ass hair mixed with his like fucking ankle, not braces, but the little shit that, you know, fighters wear on their ankles sometimes. And then his style, his front kicks, his body kicks, there's a lot of good kicks. That's decent boxing. Like, I'd play this guy in UFC 5 if they did his fight style accurately. That being said, he has been more of a grappler as of late, really showing his submission ability, and he's got good jits. Feely, one of my favorite fighters. I think he's got some of the best tats in the UFC. And he's just like one of the more cool looking fighters, in my opinion. And he's a Chad, bro. He fucking usually either gets cooked or cooks up. He's always in fun fights. And yeah, I think this is like a pick 'em. This is a hard one to pick, honestly. I want to lean Costa because I think he has the grappling advantage, but Feely's not a bad grappler. I know he trained with John Donner, I believe, for a while. And yeah, I think this is like a pick 'em. This is a really hard one to predict. Feely could definitely catch Costa on the feet with a good punch, but I think Costa has more ways to win, more tools, and probably better cardio. So I'll go Miguel Costa by decision. Next up, Ibo Aslan versus Ion Guntalaba. Yeah, this one's fucking cooked to predict. I don't think Ibo is actually that good, but you know, he's only lost once. He's kind of on the up and up. Ion is like the most inconsistent fucking fighter ever. Sometimes he's got decent fight IQ, sometimes it's absolutely atrocious. Yeah, I don't think Ibo is anything special, honestly. I think he's kind of slow, but he's just like a decent, like he's a very average, decent kind of fighter, especially for light heavyweight. Like, he doesn't do anything spectacularly well, but he does the right things, if that makes sense. So yeah, hard one to predict. I'll go Ibo, because I think it's going to be bigger. And you know, Ion's been more of a grappler lately, and I don't think he's going to have a whole lot of success grappling against a guy as big as Ibo. I think it'll probably be a fun fight. Hard one to predict, but I'll go Ibo by like second round knockout. Alright, moving on to the main card. Julius Walker versus Alonzo Menafield. Menafield. I looked at some of Walker's highlights, and he's not bad. He's definitely not a terrible fighter. He is stepping in on short notice. Alonzo had a fight coming up in like a couple of weeks in UFC London, so he's been in camp. Alonzo again is a very inconsistent fighter. Got cooked up by OSP, or did he cook up OSP? I always forget. Let's see. Did he cook up OSP? Oh yeah, he did get cooked up by OSP. And then he lost to Devin Clark, which is crazy. He lost to William Knight. I forgot about that. Like, he lost to fucking William Knight. How do you lose to William Knight? That's insane. And then he took Ed Herman to a decision. I remember he beat the shit out of him in that fight, though. And then smokes Misha Serkinov, Askar Mazharov, who like faked his record. That guy was weird as fuck. And then, like, this is the weird thing, right? He has a draw with Jimmy Crute. Okay, you know, it's kind of expected. And then he fucking smokes Justin Jacoby, wins by decision, but if I remember correctly, he was like rocking him on multiple occasions, taking him down, and Jacoby's a legitimate high-level kickboxer. And then he rematched Jimmy Crute, submitted him, where Jimmy Crute is known for his fucking high-level grappling. So it's like, this guy is, and then he got KO'd twice. So like, very inconsistent fighter. Sometimes he just has negative IQ. Sometimes he looks great. So another one that's hard to predict here. But I'll go Alonso by second round knockout, assuming it doesn't get chinned in the first. Or maybe submission. I don't know, he got knocked out in his last two. So you would hope he's fucking gonna change up his approach and not bum rush like he did against Olberg. Which, like, holy shit, bro. That was some of the worst fight IQ I've ever seen. But moving on, we got Gene Silva versus Melsic Bagdasarian. Great fight. It is a little bit weird, as everyone's been saying, like, Silva really deserved more of a name. But I like Bagdasarian. He's always seemed like a very good, kind of like Ludwig Klein, like a very fast, strong, quick, and powerful kickboxer. Yeah, I love striker. Definitely has some pop in his shots. Let's see his recent performances. I know he got injured a bunch. I mean, yeah, he had 3 canceled fights. That's crazy. Yeah, he got submitted by Kulabao, but he was looking good in that fight before he got submitted. I do think this, again, is a closer fight than the odds would have you think. But I do think Gene Silva has more of that dog in him. I think the first round's going to be tricky. I could see Bagdasarian maybe catching him with like a kick or something. But I think Silva might grapple early. And I think he's got the dog advantage for sure. I think Bagdasarian likes a clean fight. And his gas tank is not the best because he's so explosive and pretty big for the division. So I could see, as the fight goes on, him kind of gassing out, and then Gene Silva putting the whoops on him, putting that pace on him, and finishing him in the third. So I'll go Gene Silva, third round TKO, but again, much closer fight. I wouldn't be surprised with a Bagdasarian upset. Next up, Gene Matsumoto versus Rob Font. I don't know why he was fighting Cruz in the first place. Like, sometimes the UFC fucking makes no sense, especially with Aldo, which is something I want to rant about. There was a point in time where you could have done Aldo versus DJ Dillashaw, Aldo versus Dominic Cruz, or you could have done Henry Cejudo and Dominic Cruz 2, which I think is still a pretty interesting fight that I know Dominic Cruz wanted. And instead they give Aldo fucking Jonathan Martinez and Mario Batista. Like, what kind of bullshit is that, bro? What kind of fucking matchmaking is that? And it resulted in 2 pretty boring fights. So, yeah, again, this I wasn't a huge fan of this fight in the first place, but it still wasn't bad. I was still excited to see how it played out, but now we got Gene Matsumoto. He is pretty good. Very short, though. I want to see this reach. Yeah, 68 inches. On the feet, I think Rob's going to do pretty well. I think that jab's going to work for him. And that length is his long-ass arms are definitely going to help him out. It's also catch weight, which is good because he's a pretty big bantamweight. that being said, if Matsumoto grapples, Font might be cooked, I fear. Dominic Cruz isn't the biggest wrestler in the world, and Matsumoto's another one of those guys who's fucking built like a brick shit house. So I could see him kind of outpowering Font in the grappling. And he's also got good cardio, so I could see him doing that for 3 rounds. So yeah, another fucking hard fight to predict. I am gonna go Rob Font because I do think he has the edge on the feet for sure. And he looked good, I think, against Kyler Phillips. I made some money on him. Not a lot, but I bet a little bit on him, and he was like plus 400 or something crazy against fucking Kyler Phillips. Like, come on. So yeah, I hope that he's been working on his grappling defense, and yeah, if it stays on the feet, I do think Rob will take it, so I'll go Font by decision. Next up, we got Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez. Another fun fight, although I could unfortunately see this one being kind of boring, because they're both primarily grapplers. That being said, Allen's kind of a Chad on the feet. Like, his style is very fun to watch on the feet. He has pretty technical, like, Muay Thai with good boxing, good straight punches. And I remember he fought Pulani Soriano, the Pacific Islander guy who throws overhands. And he struck with him that whole fight. I don't think he shot like a single takedown. And his kicks looked phenomenal. So yeah, if this stays on the feet, I've got Allen all day, honestly. But I just don't know if Brendan Allen is the kind of guy you can impose a Anthony Hernandez game plan on, because he kind of has the same game plan for every fight, and it's been fucking working, bro. Anthony Hernandez has been on a tear lately. He's just got like unlimited cardio, constantly shoots, and then pulls that fucking arm and guillotine, bro. He loves that arm and guillotine, which is kind of crazy. Like, no one else really does it like he does. And he's not a big guy either, but he's able to like effectively grapple all these big middleweights. It's kind of crazy to me. Like, he doesn't look like a very strong dude, but he's always able to find the takedowns, gas him out, and then get the sub. But yeah, I don't know if that will work on Brendan Allen, because Allen is a pretty high-level grappler, pretty strong. He could gas him out, but it's only 3 rounds. I mean, that's his only way of winning, I think, is gassing out Brendan Allen, because I don't think he's going to be able to find the sub, and I think he's going to have a disadvantage on the feet for sure. But that being said, he's got momentum, and Allen just had kind of a shitty performance against Imavov. He just constantly shot and failed like 90% of his takedowns. So yeah, another hard one to predict. I think if Hernandez is able to gas out Allen, which is possible, although Allen does kind of have that dog in him, to push through the fatigue. How old is Allen? Yeah, he's only 29. Fucking, I'm gonna probably regret this, but I'll go Allen, because I do think he wins on the feet, and he's not gonna get submitted. So unless he gasses out against Hernandez, I see him winning this one. I'll go Allen by decision. And now, on to the main event of the evening, we got Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. She song on my Yadong till I Cejudo. I'm going Yadong. I think this is an easy pick, honestly. Henry, although he's been losing, it is against the best competition. Marab and fucking Aljo, and the Aljo fight was very close, which are like the two best bantamweights in the world, pretty much. So I don't rate those losses, but he's 38. He already retired and then came back. He's 5'3". He has he has a 64-inch reach, and he just is not threatening on the feet at bantamweight whatsoever. At flyweight he was, but at bantamweight he just has no pop on his shots. Like, he's just too small to really be a threat on the feet. And I think the only way Cejudo could win is by pushing the pace and Song gassing out, because Song has gassed out a little bit in his fights, especially against Peter Yan, who did have success grappling him. But I think Henry's just too small for this division, especially against a guy like Song, who's fucking jacked and has nasty striking. I don't think it's going to be close on the feet. I think Song's going to kind of fuck him up. I think it's going to be similar to the Ricky Simone fight, where, like, at first, maybe Henry gets a couple takedowns, holds him down for a little bit, and then Song gets back up. And then as the fight goes on, Song makes his reads and just starts cooking up, just finding those uppercuts, those straight shots. Song's nasty on the feet. He's developed into a pretty good fighter. His wrestling defense looked pretty great against Ricky Simone. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in Song Yadong here. I'm going Song by 4th round TKO. So yeah, those are my picks and predictions for UFC Fight Night. Cejudo versus Zedong. Zedong. Song Yadong. Yeah, unfortunate with all the cancellations, but still a fun card. I'd give it like a 5.7 out of 10. But I do think it's gonna deliver. I think a lot of these fights are gonna be pretty fun. Good scraps. And yeah, looking forward to it. So to do a quick recap of all my predictions, we got Bukowskis, Ruzaboyev, Vanderford, Simone, Abdul Malik, Costa, Ebo, Alonso, Silva, Font, Allen, and Yadong. So yeah, those are my picks and predictions. Thanks for watching. Have a great night, and don't let the bedbugs bite. Peace.